Hello, everybody. This is Cindy Kubika, and oh, you beautiful souls. I am so glad that you're with us today because we've had quite a day. We've had so much excitement, we don't even know how to process it. A lot of the things that have happened today. It's just been an interesting day, and I have to tell you, everyone, the comments that we have received from everyone after our email has just been phenomenal. So please keep all of the questions, all of the comments. We've got a beautiful poem here. I don't know if we have time today to read it, but people, their thoughts, the Ho'oponopono prayer that Lorelei received, this group of 4 women that have brought this whole different kind of consciousness together around the Ho'oponopono prayer. And I mean, it's just been, our emails have been blowing up. So we want to hear from you too. And any questions, comments, anything that you want to contribute to this conversation, please do. Of course, what we do here on the Soul View is we take what's in the news and we look at it from a soul view. But here's the big questions. If you're an enlightened being, does that mean that you shouldn't express your outrage about things that are going on, like these children being separated from their parents? Does that mean that you shouldn't protest, that you should just sit in meditation, sit quietly, sending love and light out to people? Absolutely not. That's not what that means at all. And so we want to talk about that today. And the key thing in all of this is to remember to stay heart-centered. That's the reason. I mean, when I started getting all these emails, I thought of Harry Potter. And Harry Potter, in the whole Potter series, how he overcame the bad guy again and again and again, the he who must not be named. It was because he was centered in love. And it was love that kept him, the bad guy, from getting him, from the monsters invading his life completely. But he was not inactive. He got out there and he acted on behalf of those he loved. And that is a different way of approaching it. So I think most of us try and do that. But sometimes our anger can outweigh, what our heart wants to feel, what we want to do. And so that's part of the conversation today. And before we get into that, I want to go ahead and get Lorelei to talk about the cosmic weather. Lorelei?
Yes. Well, in just about 5 hours or so, we will be in a very powerful full moon. Full moons are always an opportunity to be more aware, to shine a bright light. This is really what we would call a serious and sobering full moon. It's in the sign of Capricorn, which is about being responsible. It's karma's a bitch, in a sense. It's all about cause and effect. So anything that's going on in your life, you have the ability to respond to it versus react. And at a full moon, we're balancing opposites. So we have the sun in Cancer, which is the emotional part of us. It's the baby. And then we have the moon in Capricorn, which is the father. So here's an opportunity to be responsible for all of our emotions, especially as we come to the full moon. Interesting thing is, whatever presents itself that's really old, there's an opportunity to create a new solution with it. But there's no question that in other words, whatever's up in anybody's life, whether it's fabulous, whether it's challenging, whether it's a mixture, if we own it, if we take responsibility for the reality of it without blame, without judgment of ourselves or anyone else, then the learning can be amazing. Because for those of you that have really been diligent about your heart's desires, a full moon in Capricorn is an opportunity to experience success, accomplishment, and achievement. But again, the opportunity to balance the mommy in you, Cancer sun, and the daddy in you. So there you have it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Cancer moon. Wow, okay, that will affect me. Sorry, Capricorn moon. Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
Well, Shivani, I want you to go ahead and if you will, I think that I put one quote there, and some of them I didn't have an opportunity to send you. So I will go ahead and read a few of these here, but I need.
Okay. Okay, we have, I'm not sure. I think it's Richard Lyell or it's Anthea. I don't know where the quote comes from. Okay, there's a Richard. Okay. Yeah. There's a poem I wrote called Where is the Freedom in This Land? The original version was written 20 years ago. It gives details of the founding of this country, obviously the US, and what the citizens, particularly the military, did to some of my ancestors in the northwest part of the US in the 1850s. It gives details of injustice that are recorded in history. It was amended very early this morning. It is now 1,625 words. As I format it, it takes up over 4 pages. It has been submitted to the non-profit political monthly publication with which I'm affiliated as a photographer and occasional journalist. It would be very appropriate for publication in the month of July. The issue is being worked on today. The editor has expressed an interest in publishing it. The one major challenge is the size. It might be split up into 2 issues in hard copy with the full text published at the website. It does give me satisfaction to compile such information regarding injustice and the ideals of freedom into a document that can be read and recited. It brings honor to my ancestors. Some of them were very powerful leaders in their homeland before the US did what they did to them. So now I'm going, where's the poem? I want to read the poem.
Okay. Oh, I thought the poem was included in here. Okay.
No.
I thought I had it. Okay, maybe I didn't copy it. Or maybe he failed to post it. Okay. But this is pretty interesting because when next month, of course, we've got the 4th of July coming up next week, which is Independence Day. And I believe what he's asking us here is if we would be interested in letting people know about this. Do you think that's what it is?
Sorry, I was sidetracked completely because I'm looking what Ferris wrote and wondering whether that was for me or not.
Okay. Okay. Some of the other things that were mentioned, and we'll get back to him. I thought for sure I pasted the poem in there, but obviously I didn't.
Okay, you've got the poem?
No, I'm not going to try and look for it right now either because it was on social media.
This is what we call full moon madness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All this stuff started happening all at one time.
Let me interject something here. Richard posted on our Facebook page. It's a 4-page poem.
Oh,
so I
got that.
Wow.
And we'll put a link to that in our private Facebook page.
Okay,
so
that's what he's asking.
Got the link. Okay.
Okay. All right. And then Anetha, I hope that I'm saying your name right, says, love this. Many thanks. Enjoying the connection between you 3. And today there is 4, as you can see. Ferris is here, and I asked him to come today because of the emails that I've been getting. Once we put out this email saying what we're going to talk about, I had all kinds of people that believe that the separation of children and their parents actually was something Bill Clinton did, that it's been around for a long time, and which I knew not to be true, but I wanted to, Ferris is a master researcher. So that's what he spent his whole day doing, going out and finding the truth behind this, because that was the question that I kept getting asked, along with Kathy saying, I am so angry. And usually I am such a peaceful soul. And I get that. I get that anger. I felt it myself. And as many of you know, I just went through a surgery. And when I found myself getting so angry about how could you do this, I've lost my child in a grocery store before, and I didn't find her. I mean, it was like 5 minutes, and I was in all-out panic. Have you ever lost your child in a store? And that child, when you get the child back, they're completely distraught. Well, can you imagine the children? And that's where I was coming from. And I thought, I've got to get to a place of peace place of love, because I just had surgery, and if I'm angry, I'm going to have angry scars, and they're going to be visible because they cut into me, and I can't allow that to happen. So we need truth, because you've heard us say before, everyone's entitled to their own understanding, but not their own opinion. Pardon me, to their own opinion. Yeah. So Ferris, you go ahead and take it away and tell them.
Yeah, he's really good. He's the grounded one at the moment.
Yes.
That makes everybody in trouble. As Daniel Moynihan said, everybody's entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts. And there are no alternative facts. He didn't say there are no alternative facts because the term wasn't invented then. There is so much information out there about this situation with families being separated at the border. Most of it is incorrect, and I'm talking about incorrect on both sides of the political spectrum.
True.
There is no law that requires that. There is a legal settlement that came out of a case that started in the 50s and wasn't settled until the 80s. And that's why people refer to the Flores settlement. Because a young lady by the name of what?
What is it? The Flores?
Flores. Flores. That's because a young lady by the name of Flores was trying to get across the border to join her mother, who was already here. And she was put in a detention center, which was an old motel that basically was just fenced in, and it had adults of both sexes and kids of both sexes, and the adults had access to the kids, et cetera, et cetera. So the Flores settlement required that unaccompanied minors be in, quote, the least restrictive settings, and that they release them to an appropriate adult without, quote, unnecessary delay. In other words, as quickly as possible. And then in 2015, the courts clarified the Flores settlement even further, that said that the children could not be detained, even with families, more than 20 days. Now, in the past, people have said, well, Obama has detained more kids than anybody else. The kids that he detained, that they're talking about, were unaccompanied minors. There was you may remember, there was a whole flood of unaccompanied minors that came across the border at one time. Those children were detained, and I forget who was the organization that detained them until they could be placed. And right now, they're since April 16th, with the zero tolerance policy, which means that anyone who comes across the border is going to be prosecuted. If the people are being prosecuted, they're going to be put in jail, or that's part of the policy. They don't have to be put in jail because most of them are being prosecuted for misdemeanors, which is just coming across the border. In the past, what the government has done is let those people go, basically, with ankle bracelets, whatever, and something like 90% of those people showed up for their court dates. Nothing's going to be 100%. I lost my chain of thought there for a second. And that is just about 100%, because that's going to happen all the time for me. So what the government was doing in the past was basically what President Trump has been calling catch and release. And that is catching people, setting them a court date, letting them go, because if they put them in jail, then they can't put their kids in jail with them. So they have to put the kids in a facility somewhere. And frankly, we don't have the facilities enough to keep 2,000 kids, over 2,000 kids. There have been reports that the government doesn't even know where some of these kids are, where their parents are. Frankly, I don't know if that's true or not. I could not find any evidence that was firm enough to say whether it was true or not. Cindy and I were talking earlier today about researching the fake news versus the true news, and she had one of a comment that I think was great, and that is, why do I need to believe this? So when you're researching something, and for God's sake, don't research it on Facebook. When you're researching something and it sounds true, ask yourself, why do I need to believe this? Do you need to believe it because you like President Trump and his policies? Do you need to believe it because you don't like President Trump and his policies? And we can be led astray either way. Now, in our replay email, I will put some links to some of my favorite places to check facts. And there are some bad places to check facts. Mm-hmm. But even in those places, they can make mistakes. So if you remember the bumper stickers that said question authority, question bumper stickers. That's all I have.
That was good.
Well, you're also speaking the Capricorn full moon, question authority.
I was waiting for that, Lorelei.
Wow.
Yeah,
question the people who question authority.
I want to make perfectly clear for people, and this is something that I have also researched, though Ferris is better at, you can see, he's the guy you're asking for the time, he tells you how to build a watch. He is so detail oriented.
That's Owl, right?
Yep, that's his Owl personality, exactly. He's so good at it, which is why mine pales in comparison. But one thing I do want to say for sure, Bill Clinton had nothing to do with separating the children. Ferris just cited what the truth is, what that story, where that evolved from, that people got part of that story from. This is a policy that was enacted by the Trump administration in May of 2018. And, that is the absolute truth. And Ferris will, for those of you who disagree with that don't want to believe it, again, there's always a reason we want to believe things, because we like to be right. So, the question is not whether or not this is true, because facts are facts. It's what's our need to believe otherwise, Yeah. So, and I have to catch myself all the time, because I was ready to believe half the stuff I was seeing, and I was angry, and I had to go into a full outrage. And Lorelei and I happened to talk that day when I was going through this, and it's big for a lot of people, because especially, we're loving souls. We love our children. Have you ever lost your dog? I mean, when I lost my dog Muffin for about a week, I just about went nuts until she was returned to me. So, it doesn't have to be a child. You lose somebody, even temporarily. And from that place, I feel pain for these families, from that place of knowing just very short amount of time of losing someone that I love.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from you two ladies. And Ferris, can you stay on for just a little bit? Because I think this is a great four-way conversation. Is that okay with you ladies?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And by the way, we want to hear your comments. So,
I'm just looking at that. Okay. Carol says, Elizabeth Warren went to Texas yesterday to visit the detention center, to visit the sisters who are taking on the task of connection, of connecting children with relatives to visit the prison. She asked questions of authorities and also of the people being detained. Where did you come from? Why did you come? How are you being treated? All right. So that was Elizabeth's comment.
Beautiful. I actually saw
So
something.
somebody is doing something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And what I want to offer around the outrage about that or anything else that could be going on for anybody, outrage, feeling angry, old angers coming up that have not been resolved, that is one of the gifts of Mars, which I didn't mention, the planet of what drives us, what propels us forward, passion and desire, is appearing now to go backwards, retrograde, until August 27th. Well, here's the planet of ignition and moving forward that's now more internalized. So fevers, boils, angers. So my point is, I'm not to minimize any situation, but whatever's coming up for anyone, and if we're feeling outrage, that's old unresolved anger in us that is having an opportunity to be healed now by coming up, because that's one of the gifts of Mars in retrograde. So just wanted to offer that.
And not even just anger. It can even be a fear.
Yes.
Because, I remember so clearly the day that my daughter got lost, and I was totally freaked and just convinced in that 5 minutes that somebody stole her. I was just, and that was so traumatic. And it was just a few minutes. And it's coming in viewing what's going on right now from that point of view.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff started bubbling to the top. And that's where we came up with these 3 ways to get back to heart center, because you don't accomplish anything by being angry and ranting and raving, because this is when you're ranting, this is what people hear. Wah, 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 wah. That's what they hear. They don't hear your words because they don't want to hear you. They want to rant. Right. So we've got to get to the heart center. And just a little bit, Shivani is going to share a heart centering meditative prayer for these children, these families. And we'll do that at 20 till the hour. So in about 15 minutes. And that way the people out there that want to join in that aren't here live can do that. So other questions and comments, you guys?
Cindy, I got a comment.
Okay.
I kind of disagree with you. I think anger is appropriate and useful.
And I agree, but it's got to be controlled.
Driven by anger, that can be counterproductive. But if you don't get angry,
you're not going to get passionate.
Yeah.
And there's the key, the passion behind it that is productive. And that's why even, I'm going to be marching this weekend. I'm going to be marching for these families, reuniting these families here in Nashville. Ferris and I are going to be down there. And you better believe I'm going to show up because I want these families back together. They weren't even charged with anything. And that's the thing. They weren't charged with anything before the children were taken from them. There was no crime there. We don't do that in the U.S. Well, not until now. We've never done this in the U.S.
Okay, now, that's not exactly true.
Okay, I know. Years and years ago.
Yeah.
I'm talking about recent history.
The vast majority of them have been charged.
Well,
only charged with misdemeanors. Now, there have been a few that have not been charged at all and still been separated.
Mm-hmm.
So really, again, the abuse of power. We all are in this opportunity now, especially with Jupiter still retrograde in Scorpio, the most powerful sign in the zodiac, for 2 more weeks, to look at, to be with whatever abuses, misuses of power, and appropriate uses of power, whether it's something like this or any other event in anyone's individual life where there is a power abuse going on. So again, you know, it's very easy to point fingers at whoever and not to own that if this is in our experience, we all get to clean it.
Yeah. And you had this happen today, Lorelei, and I really think it's appropriate that this just happened to you today, the misuse of power, the misuse of authority. And you want to go ahead and share with everyone? I think this is such an important.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, I hope this happens to nobody else, but I know it happened for a reason. To make a very long story short, I got one of those calls from the IRS that I owed all this back money in taxes, and they had sent me these notices, and I needed to go to an office and pay this or whatever. Now, part of me's going, this can't be right. I've dealt with the IRS before. That's not how they operate. But another part of me is going, you're supposed to have this experience. So I am feeling totally controlled by the person on the other end who's saying, I'm going to stay on the phone with you. You have 2 hours to do this. If you don't do this within 2 hours, we're going to come arrest you. And I'm going, oh my, so I'm like shaking, right? And I'm thinking of the cosmic weather at the same time. Going, oh my gosh, Mars just went retrograde. You know, that's all about courage that could be more inside. And as I think back on today, now that I know it's a scam, now that I know everybody else knew but me, I wish I had, but I wasn't supposed to have the courage, because now I have more courage from inside, the courage to just say to this guy, screw you, buddy, I'm hanging up now. But I was in fear. I felt like I was in a concentration. I mean, I really felt like, do this, keep me on the line. When you go get this Google Play card, you don't, and they ask what it's for. Don't tell them it's to pay the IRS, because then we're going to come and arrest you. I know many of you may be thinking, what, is she crazy? But you know what? This is part of the gift that I've gotten from this for me. If everything's up for a reason, then you've all paid for therapy probably, or coaching, or any class, right? Well, I just paid $300 to understand this in myself, to understand, wow, I just had the opportunity to be in total child, in total reaction, in total, oh my God. And then the adult in me going, I'm going to take your hand through this process. And what I also got was, and this is for everybody, and I'll own it, I thought, you know what? For everything that I have ever done in my life that was underhanded, that was dishonest, that was not truthful, whatever it is, and you can all relate because we're, you know, like he was without sin, right? Cast the first stone. I thought, I am absolving myself of everything I have ever done in my life by this experience, because I could hang out forever and, oh my God, it's awful. Yeah, I'm not thrilled about $300, but you know what? It could have been a lot more expensive. And then I got, oh my gosh, look at this abuse of power. And we talk about outrage about injustice. Yes, we're talking about that in terms of these immigrant children. I'm just as outraged about the injustice that I experienced, but then I'm going, whoa, old anger. So even in this reactive place, I was calm way inside going, this is obviously happening for a reason. You don't know what it is right now. And Cindy, I was doing the prayer nonstop, just in my head, as I'm being afraid, going, oh my God, is somebody actually going to come and arrest me? So yes.
You were doing Ho'oponopono prayer?
I was in my mind. And I thought, there's nothing else I can do here but clean, because obviously this is coming up. And I'm going, oh my God, was it that dinner with so-and-so that I charged? You know, we all do that, right? I'm going, oh my God, but I've got a great accountant. But again, my point is, I was in so much fear of, like a little kid going, survival is being threatened here. But yet I was drawing on the Capricorn energy and saying, okay, we're going to go do this now. We're going to drive to the accountant's office. We texted Cindy. I finally called John, because one of the things he said is, you can't tell anybody about this. And I bought it.
Oh my God.
You can't tell your family, wow. You can't, and these are the conditions. And I'm thinking, and then when he wanted to up it to 500, that's when I just hung up and said, okay, I just got to find out what's going on here. So my point is, I just got a karmic lesson that cost me $300. And like they say, when you go to a workshop, it's like, I just got my money's worth.
And
well, you didn't pay much. That was very cheap.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
and if you would have said something to them at Kroger when you took it, they would have told you it was a scam.
Oh yeah, because he said if they ask you what you're doing with this, you say that it's for to pay a IRS, we're going to come and arrest you, and I bought it.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen, and I was heading down to pay, and I like I usually do, Ferris, can you research? And he went, oh my gosh, page after page came up on this scam.
And John knew it too. He knew exactly what was going on. I thought, my God, everybody, and my daughter, everybody knows this but me. But I
didn't know until that day.
I wasn't supposed to know it, is the point. I was supposed to have the experience that I had, as much as I just wanted to leave my body most of the day.
Well, I think it's really important for all of us, when things like this, an injustice like this happens, again, it's okay to get angry. As a health educator, here's what I know. If you leave that anger or you try to resolve it and just say, oh, I'm just going to be in peace and bury it down inside, that dis-ease becomes disease. If you are passive about life and you hold everything inside, that turns to cancer. Research after research shows that. If you're expulsive and always exploding, it's heart disease, it's high blood pressure, it's stroke, and there's just about every university that has anything to do with the human body out there has done research around this. So it's easy information to find, Ferris.
Yeah, but you don't want to be
fact check me there.
Anger, right? You don't want to be stuck in anger,
right?
Because that will create another disease.
Yes.
That's right. And it's okay to say, I'm angry, and here's what I'm going to. Here's how I'm going to innervate this anger, because we can. And what we had talked about, and I'm just grabbing my notes over here, and how come my computer just froze? Because it's that kind of day.
If you don't pay the IRS, it's going to stay frozen.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. They were going to freeze my assets. They were going to freeze this and that. And again, I went, oh my God, I'm glad I don't have many assets these days.
Come on.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So I would love to know from everybody, if this happened to you, let's, because this is such a heavy topic that we're talking about with these children, let's focus just for a moment on what just happened with Lorelai and that anger. And then we can make that shift. The other one is over the top emotional. So this one, I would love to know how you feel if that happened to you, how you would process it. My first thing is, how do I get my money back? Of course.
But I'm really letting that go, because I know it's probably gone, and I'm choosing to respond and go, well, okay, I got quite a lesson, because I got lots of miracle minutes that are going to come out of this one to help others, not about not doing this, not following the scam or being a victim of it, but literally when something comes up, I have the choice. We all have the choice whether we're going to react and or respond. And respond is the breath in between, and respond is consciousness, responsibility. And this full moon is highlighting that. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I just had an experience. It gives me an opportunity to talk about the energies that we're in. So I hope this doesn't happen to any of you. And if it does, call me.
or call Ferris if you get to write Ferris every time, because he'll look it up for you.
We'll do the prayer together.
Yeah.
Well, Lorelai, what if you could do this? What if you could get your money back and still let other people benefit from it?
That's beautiful, Ferris. Another choice. Thank you very much. I'm going to hold that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to mention these things very quickly. If I can get my computer's going haywire. It's like somebody just took over my computer. It is the most bizarre thing. All these programs are opening. Ferris, I'm going to need you after that. Hey, everybody, we really depend on Ferris. So all three of us are like, Ferris.
Yeah.
Which means you're in trouble.
Yeah, but just think, you get to do that wonderful male thing of feeling like a hero all the time. With all three of us, you get to be the hero.
He is on a daily basis. He's my hero.
Me and Mighty Mouse.
Here he comes to save the day. Okay, we're going to be starting this meditation in just a few minutes. I really did want to just talk about the three things that Lorelei and I talked about, and Shivani had talked about in these three different steps.
Yeah.
And the first one, the first step is express your emotions, whether it's anger, outrage, or sadness. When I tried to, because I'm a woman that wants to be in peace all the time, I tried to push it inside, and that's how I know that that doesn't work, because I just had surgery, and when I started pushing it inside, I got flu-like symptoms. I got a sore throat. All of these physical manifestations of me trying to shove this down. And I thought, no, I need to rage if I need to rage, as long as it's in a safe place where I'm not going to hurt anybody.
Exactly. Scream into a cushion or something.
I was in my living room, and I just started raging and saying all this stuff. And yes, I used every curse word that I knew in every language that I knew. and I let all that emotion out. So that was the first one. And anything either one of you want to say on that, or all three of you?
Well,
yeah, and I mean, if you're, for example, angry, let's say, with a partner or with another human being that is with you, right? I would also add, you don't want to spew the anger onto that person. Mm-hmm. It's your anger. You still want to, yes, you can do whatever, but it's your anger, so contain it energetically. Yeah, you can scream and rant and pummel a cushion, whatever, but it's like energetically it stays with you rather than over to the other person.
Great point. And I was all alone, so I got to spew, other than my kitties.
And of course you're spewing too. I get that.
Well, and I'll tell you, my go-to is, and as most of you know, or Cindy, you certainly know, and Shivani and Ferris, I go to, okay, this is up. This is, I'm pissed. I could scream. It's old. It's something in my unconscious that's being triggered. This problem, in this case, the IRS calling me, or not the IRS, but whatever it is, it's coming up, and it means it's in the unconscious, and I need to clean it. That's where, now I never knew that before. Before I started working with the Ho'oponopono, I would have been doing other things which could have been equally valuable, but this was quick. I mean, in the sense that, wow, this is up. Boy, this is old. And as I said, it brought up any thought of, as I said, anytime I have not been honest about something, right? Like I'm getting caught, right? So I got to follow what this guy is saying because I'm guilty, but again, about anything in my life where I have ever betrayed anyone, or, as I said, been dishonest. So now I go, whoa, this is coming up. It's a full moon, and I just need to clean, which is why I just kept saying the four statements over and over in my head as I'm talking to this guy with my hand, the cell phone, my hand on my heart. Seriously.
But that would be the
it is 6:40. Right? It's 6:40, and I promised everybody in the email that we would do it at this time. So that.
Okay.
So,
but that would be the next step, right? The first one is acknowledge and express your emotion, right? And then the second step, it's like, hey,
own and forgive.
Own and forgive.
Own and forgive your inner monster is the second one.
Yes.
And the third one is inspired action through love.
Yeah.
So
love that.
When you get to that point, then you can go out and you can march and you can protest and do whatever you feel is right through love.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with that, let's go ahead, Shivani.
All right. Let's feel the laugh.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to just start with a little bit of chimes here.
Okay. All right, so if you are driving, please don't do this meditation. And for those of you who are home, I invite you to sit comfortably and close your eyes. Just check for a moment that your head is in alignment with your spine. Finding your own perfect alignment, you might need to move your neck, your head. And allow your eyes to sink back into the deeper recesses of your head, relaxing your jaw. Letting go of any tightness around your shoulders, your abdomen. Just feel your buttocks in contact with the chair or the floor or wherever you've chosen to sit. And then either feel the soles of your feet in connection with the floor. If you're sitting cross-legged, feel your legs, building the triangle underneath your posture. Emphasizing the feeling of contact. And then give yourself 3 really, really deep breaths. And as you breathe in, allow your belly to come up and out. Keep breathing in right up into your chest, right up into your upper lungs. And as you breathe out, allow yourself to let go a little bit more. With your next breath in, imagine that you're taking in all the good that is waiting for you, saying yes to life. With each breath out, let go. Letting go of anything that you might still need to do after our show. Gradually letting go of your thinking. Allowing the deeper, fuller breath to invite you to come into the present moment. Being with yourself, for yourself, and enjoying the time that you're spending with yourself. And then allow your breathing to come back to automatic. And imagine that you're putting roots from the tailbone into the earth as deeply as you can manage, really anchoring yourself into Mother Earth. Imagine that these roots are connecting with itself, with each other. Feeling the support, the strength of Mother Earth. And then keeping the connection with Mother Earth, bring your awareness up through your body, all the way up to the top of your head and beyond. Asking for your guidance, invoking whoever that is for you in the spiritual universe to come in and support you in this process for the good of yourself and the good of all of humanity and beyond. And then bring yourself to your heart center. Allowing yourself to feel safe within your heart. And then imagine just through osmosis, just through your natural respiration, that your heart is growing a little bit more. And every time you're breathing, your heart opens and becomes bigger. And to help yourself with that, you can imagine that you're breathing from the front of your chest to the corresponding part in your back, and again to the front. So you're literally piercing through your heart with your natural breath from the chest to the corresponding part in your back, back to the chest, and simply through the breathing, your heart opens a little bit more, it's becoming bigger. So imagine that your heart is filling your whole body, growing, becoming bigger. Now your heart is filling the room that you're in. Filling the town and the city that you're in. Your whole state. Now imagine your heart is so big that it encompasses the whole of the US. Now going even bigger, encompassing the whole of the world. And your heart grows even more beyond the world, moving to more distant planets, past the moon, the Milky Way. And then imagine, simply through your intention, you are now sending love to all the kids, to the parents, to everybody who needs it here on planet Earth. And do that in your own way. Maybe you're enveloping these kids with love, sending them safety, reassurance. Do the same with the parents. Visualize that they find each other sooner than later. Imagine that you're sending your love to every corner on the planet, off planet, into any darkness, any injustice. Lightening up, literally, the world. And then also send this love to yourself, to your family, to your immediate loved ones. And as you're doing this, notice how you feel, notice what's happening. And then taking with you all that you have experienced. You can choose to keep your heart that open, or you can choose to come back a little bit more towards your body. Taking with you whatever you may have experienced in your own time, you can open your eyes again. And of course, you're most welcome to type and share whatever happened for you.
Once again, I would like to hear what you experienced, what you saw in your mind's eye. I had a lot of visions and would love to know what you felt as well, or what you saw, what you saw, what you felt. Ferris, you wanna share, and then Lorelei. It was beautiful, by the way, Shivani.
Oh, awesome.
Mm.
Thank you.
For the zeitgeist. Luckily, I had my microphone muted because as soon as you hit the chime, my Alexa came on and said, "I'm sorry, I can't find that program or whatever."
There's a mute button on the top.
Well,
Mine's unplugged over here.
But Shivani, that was beautiful. Thank you. I'm just rested.
Mm-hmm. I feel altered. I mean, it was really, I was so in what you were saying. It's just, I don't know, it was beautiful. It was just the progression of it and what you said. And you basically channeled that. I mean, that was just, I mean, because I opened my eyes to see if you were reading something. Because it was
No.
And I saw your eyes were closed and I said, oh my gosh, she's channeling this, Lorelei, close your eyes. But
Yeah.
that was really, and just the whole lead up to then sending to the children was just so, it was just beautiful. Just
Oh, thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Guided. Wow.
And what I have to say to everybody is that's how you get to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a calmness in my body, and I've done some meditation, but I wanted Shivani to do it today because I knew that it would be better for her, for me to be able to experience this fully.
Mm-hmm.
And that calmed me even more. So I thank you. And I look at these three different areas, that we've talked about, these three different ways, which is express your emotions: anger, outrage, sadness, hurt, pain, disbelief, whatever it is that you're feeling. And then own and forgive your own inner monster. And then you take that to inspired action through love. And it's when you experience something this profoundly beautiful, this meditative prayer, and you experience this, it just, I felt my heart opening and filling this room. I felt my heart to expand across the whole of the US and then around the world. I could feel it and I could see it in my mind's eye, and I opened up. And now when I go and I'm going to take action this weekend in March, I can keep my heart open.
Mm-hmm.
While protecting myself, and I put a little protective energy around me so that other people can't put their negative energy into me, their hooks. So I've got that shield around me, but my heart is open and it can go through that shield. It's one way. Unless it's love. Love can come back, but anything. So that was my experience with that. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And yeah, with that heart opening, you can then march and hold a stand for what you want to ideally have to happen instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Do we have any comments over here? And anyone, if you're, I know sometimes after a meditation, it's very hard to write, but if you can, we would love to know what.
Carol said, thank you for including the whole world. So many children and parents separated and traumatized and in need of this frequency of love and compassion. Mm-hmm. And Satprem says, was beautiful, went very deep, very quickly. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, and I think everything happens around the world. It's not just what happens really in the US. A lot of stuff happen exactly the same, but it's around the world. But we don't hear it.
Right. It's easy to forget about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're just developing countries. We don't count them. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we are one, if in the understanding of oneness, each one of these children, each one of these parents are part of us.
Exactly.
They're not separate from us. They are part of us. We are one. So how can we say they don't count? Mm-hmm. Because they're part of the whole.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, something else to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Those folks that are doing the things that we're not crazy about, they're us too.
Exactly.
And that's true. That's why the second step was, you got to own your inner monster. I've done things that I am not proud of in my life, that I don't even want to talk about. Like, oh God, I did that. Yeah. We all have.
Yeah.
We got to own that too.
Yeah.
And I forgot to tell you the punchline, if you will, of my experience today. I actually called this guy back and thanked him for being my healing angel. I swear to God. I swear to God.
Really?
I did. I absolutely did. Just wanted to share.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Because I think what I noticed too is it's easier to be the victim, and then it's easier in comparison to, okay, I'll overcome being the victim. But the perpetrator, and we all have, whether this life or past lives, we've been the perpetrator. And that is so hard to look at.
Yes.
That takes so much courage to actually go, hey, yes, I've done atrocities. I've been this. And that's also, I think, the invitation. If we are really overreacting, well, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was.
We have a lot. Okay. Oh, wow. So gracious. That's from Shivani, spelled with an I. And so gracious Shivani sent an astral blanket filled with rose petals to the children, similar to the roses, oh my God, that Don Diego carried in his apron so many years ago in Mexico. Also sent along a container of roses by Astral Express delivery from Goddess Lady Kuan.
Beautiful.
And Kuan Yin, sacred gardens to life, to lift the emotions and physical bodies of the parents. and the caregivers who are part of this unfolding consciousness. Lovely. To lift the areas of stress. Okay, that's okay. Lovely, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just saw a lot of light, and I had this like this Star Wars, when light, it's like zoom, and it goes into that part of the globe, and then there was another one, zoom.
I love it.
Yeah.
Another thing that I saw was I saw faces during the meditation. I saw faces of some of the parents saying, yes, this is traumatic for my child, but I'm not going to be here long, and they will. They'll have a life. Mm-hmm. I could hear that. And I'm like, what? I've been only thinking about reuniting them. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden this came out, and I'm like, wow, there are some that are so in fear of their lives that they're better without the child, knowing that they would be taking them into a dangerous situation where they might not survive. That would have never come up for me. My mind wasn't going there.
Yeah.
That surprised me.
Well, and that's the kind of magic, what you just said around the Ho'oponopono. In other words, or any process like that, is that insight came to you that wasn't even in your reality before.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I saw a few other things, which I'll talk at another time, but it's.
Yeah, and ultimately, spiritually, all is in divine order.
Right.
Yeah, because we have different levels. The humanity, the human heart, no, it's not in order. Absolutely not. But if you look at the soul, that basically has no right or wrong, it just wants to experience itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's true. And, we have to remember the law of attraction is also at play here. We've asked for things. And if you don't set any kind of parameters around that, any kind of groundwork around that, and ground whatever it is that you're asking for, then you get what the universe feels you need. And so when we are asking for things, we need to be very specific, because along with, divine will, there's free will. So we get to change things if we don't want to experience the harshest version of whatever something may be. We can choose otherwise. Do you agree with that?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have to be very specific in that.
Yeah.
Ferris, you look like you're thinking.
He's got his owl face on.
Yeah.
When you say what we ask for, my mind goes to what I'm asking for. But we also are a group,
Mm-hmm.
as a community, as a nation, as a world. We get what we ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not happy as individuals with what we're asking for as a group, then we have to start changing minds and hearts. And we can do that one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
And it may not happen overnight. That's the sucky part.
Because imagine for a moment that everyone is loving and feels deeply and is empathetic, and the world would be a better place. And I think that's the work.
Yeah.
It starts with one person, and then it has a ripple effect.
I agree.
And then imagine everyone loves themselves fully. I mean, that's the utopia I want to live in, Because if you love yourself, then again, the world will be very different. We don't do stuff to people that are so hurtful.
What a great starting place. Well, actually, what a great goal.
And loving yourself, but being able to think outside yourself. That's a challenge. Because, you know, I've heard people say, a newscaster, well, they're not my kids, you know. You know, but
real love, but I think real love and really coming from the heart, it will always be both ways.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, that's what I want. I want to be able to love myself and yet to be able to go outside myself, to feel what these parents are feeling. And I've been feeling into it without taking it on, because for those of you who are empaths, it's easy to take on that pain. And I do it very easily. So I've got to always, that's why I put the shield around myself. You know, when I go out there, I want all of that love that you said, Shivani, you know, going out to the whole of the world. But if there is any kind of negative energy coming back, I want to shield that from myself because I'm sensitive. And for those of you who are sensitive, please, I encourage you to do the same thing. But I want to be able to go out there and give love of my, you know, love myself and love the people around me without inflicting my, you know, by golly, it should be this way, you know, because that's what we do. We think everybody should think just like we do. People like people that are like themselves.
And the more you push against something, the more it will come back. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. Right. Nothing happens. It becomes stagnant.
Yeah.
Nothing pretty anyway. Well, and any final thoughts? This has been beautiful. It's been profound. And I want to, just before we do that, I just want to repeat these 3 steps for everybody once again that we had talked about. And if you have another version of this, if you want to rewrite or tweak this, please do that. We love to hear from you. You know, number 1, express. Get it out. Don't let it live inside. And you know, if you're angry and frustrated and then you walk out that front door, everybody's going to get a blast of that throughout the day. So you have to go through the next step, which is, you know, own and forgive your own inner monster. Realize that, you know, that's not just about what's going on around us. It's going on inside too. And that was kind of the thing that you were talking about earlier, Lorelei, which is anything that you've ever done, you've paid penance.
Absolutely.
You know, alms for the distress.
I grew up Catholic, so it was perfect. I kept going, oh my God, it's boarding school again. And then the third one is, you know, take inspired action through love. And this was a total love meditation. And go back and listen to it again. And Ferris, can we take that out and separate that out in a few days? It's not going to be like tomorrow because we've got a lot of other things going on. But Ferris, we'll get to that probably next week. And very quickly, let me just ask, is everyone going to be around for the 4th? If so, we will have a show. If this is, because our show is on the 4th of July. So I don't know if we should just put the meditation out there on the 4th, or if everybody still wants to come together. Please let us know. Well, we'll come together and entertain ourselves, and whoever's there, they'll be entertained and engaged and enlightened. Yeah. I have just some parting words, and I could sing them, but I don't think I can do that right now. But some words from the Capricorn full moon from The Sound of Music, which are climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every byway till you find your dream.
Love it. Love it.
Beautiful. Okay. Parting thoughts, Ferris?
No.
Shivani?
Love is all there is. Let love guide you. Let your heart guide you.
And with that, I totally agree. You know, take it to the heart. And that's where healing happens.
Yeah.
So I so appreciate everyone and you being with us today. We love you so much, and we really honor the fact that you are joining us on this journey. And by the way, just a quick announcement that nobody knows yet except for me and my granddaughter, Sarah. We are actually going to make this into a podcast. And she's been researching how to do that so we can reach even more people.
Cool.
So that will be something that we do in the next couple of months, and we'll let you know as that happens. But we've already met the requirements that iTunes has, and so we'll be able to do this very quickly. But it'll probably still take a month or two, but we'll let you know. So exciting change. Mm-hmm. So much love to you all, and
namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, and I send you all light.